Hey everyone, how's it going? It's John here from Worship Gear. I got an interesting comment the other day to do a pedal board for $1,000, so thank you for that. I took this in 3 directions, and I want to show you the options I picked, where I picked them, how I picked them, and then I'm also going to use Pedal Playground to show you how I would lay out those boards and some of the reasoning behind everything I picked. So, some ground rules first. We're going to do one board that is a $1,000 board of just pedals and DI, like for church, going right, plugging in, like at most churches that I've been to nowadays. When I play at churches of my, like outside of my own church, everyone seems to be DI anymore. The next I'm going to do is a pedal board that is going into the front of the amp, right? And I'm also going to assume you have a guitar for these two. And then finally, I'm actually going to do the Anderton's like $1,500 challenge, and I'm going to do it for direct, just to show like you can also afford your first board with a pedal, like with a guitar. Now, I know people tell me all the time, or I hear it pretty often, like, gear doesn't matter, and I fully agree. So hopefully today some of these, like, options will be ones that if you're just starting out, maybe you're just getting into everything, you could, you know, start today and not worry about all of the different things like you see on the high-end boards that people have all over the place. Without further ado, let's jump over to the computer and take a look at everything. All right, so first things first, we are on Sweetwater. I've already actually designed these boards. This is what I was looking for each board. So for the first K board, I wanted to have some kind of tuner, reverb, delay, power, 2 overdrives, an amp sim, cables, and a board. For the just the effects board, I wanted to find everything there except for the amp sim, and I wanted to get a volume pedal and I couldn't sneak that in, but we'll get there. And then the $1,500 rig is everything you see here, including a guitar. There were some sacrifices made. These lists changed a little bit, but let's jump right into it, and let's go first with the 1K DI board. I'm also going to assume a couple things. I'm going to assume that if you're playing at your church, you just have to go into a DI box they're providing. I didn't include a DI box. First, so this is the 1K DI board. Now, I know the first thing you're seeing here is the tuner, the headstock tuner. I did that on purpose because of the final budget. I was able to bring this board in at $956. So for that board, I used the Nano board. I found this Hosa 6-pack, which was great. I was using the Canvas 15 for a while by myself, actually. And I liked it also though, and especially for these board builds, because they have like the Strymons, that link feature, expandable, and I really like how they've done that. So that's why I chose those. Everything's 500 milliamps here, and then there's this multi-volt part, so you actually could get everything you need right through these 4 if you do the little like dividing math appropriately. My first choice was the Tonex. That was the first thing I went with though on purpose. It's specifically this one. It's a little more expensive at the $449, but this is why I went with the anniversary one. It comes with 1,000 premium tone models from places like 150 premium tone models from Worship Tutorial, Studio Rat, Tone Junkie, Jason Sedades, and Amglam Audio. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I personally love Tone Junkie stuff. I love Worship Tutorial stuff, but I have been using Tone Junkie stuff forever. My Quad Cortex, I'm using Tone Shepherd stuff. I'll link that below. I'll actually also put links to the favorite Tone Junkie patches so you could find those within there because I'm sure they're in there. Also, they have modulation, delay, and reverb. So I figured for $449 to be able to get reverb, delay, modulation, even potentially some compression if you want a little bit, amp and cab, that's a crazy option. And the modulation, as you just saw, let's go back to that real quick. There's chorus, trem, phaser, flanger, rotary. So that's a ton of options. But what I really like about it is you have 3 banks. So you could do your and it's stereo out. Light reverb, light delay, your big swell with your volume pot on your guitar, and then like a backup patch of something different depending on what you needed. And then I also brought this. It's all right here, really easy to use. I just don't have it set up at the moment. These are some Jake Fowler patches that I really like. I'll link those below. He makes amazing patches as well. Next, I went with some tried and trues. So the Protein's really popular right now. I love the Nobles. I have had ODRs. I love them to death. The Morning Glory is my favorite. Maybe my favorite, like, just like overdrive pedal of all time. And then the Daily Driver. Those are like kind of my 3 favorites. But budget's a thing right now. So I went with the ODR2 at $79.99 or $79, and the Blues Driver, which is also not super far off from those different different flavors we talked about, and a headstock tuner. Honestly, I was getting real close to that $100 mark. I probably could have went with a Boss TU3. I figured if you're looking for your first thing, this just gets you in the door. You don't need a tuner on your board. You can use a headstock tuner and it'll work fine. The idea with this too is expandability. All of these pedals here would be great on any other board, and you're actually going to see them on the other boards. All right, so I zoomed in on Pedal Playground because I don't want to show everything real quick, but even with this board, you know, it's a little, how do we say it? It's a little tight with the Tonex. It's a little over the edge right there. I don't think with the soft case you're gonna have to worry about that at all. This would obviously, if you go right there and you hit a button, you could put right underneath. Okay, so the next board assumes you have an amp and you have a guitar, and you're just looking for effects for the first time. Maybe you have a Boss Katana that was a gift, or like a Line 6 thing, and you know, your guitar, but you really just want to start exploring with onboard effects because you think you might want to go DI one day, you might want to upgrade your amp. So this is really just to get that first bit started. And as I said, I got to 988.91, and I'm going to scroll up to show things as I go this time. So the first thing I went with was the Keeley's Cavern Delay and Reverb. I have a buddy who loves this pedal. I've not personally used it, but if we click into it, you know, you have all of your different options right here for the delay and the reverb. It's very straightforward, and it's nice just for your first time. And I don't think there's any issue with if you want to go to a more swell, like, you know, you want to add more. I don't think that, like, reverb or delay for like a swell moment. I don't see a problem personally with just bending over and just using that. Maybe your amp has onboard reverb, which you could use as your main sound, and then when you want to go into your swells or your more ambient stuff, you have that set up just as your reverb. So that was kind of my thought there. Next, just a standard 6-pack of cables. Again, you'll see this 6-pack kind of be in all of them. Canvas 5 again. Again, all of these pedals, and something I actually, you know what, we'll pull up this pedal again real quick and look at it. Something you want to be mindful of with pedals, and this is why I picked the Walrus for most of these pedal builds. When you hit specs, if you're on Sweetwater, you want to pay attention to the power usage right here. You know, with the Walrus, it does 500, so you could power your Strymons, your nicer stuff. It could really go with you. And again, it has that through if you want to add another, you know, canvas. Let's say you get 4 more pedals because you worked hard the next summer. Now you can get the 5 or the 8 again, link it through with the link. All right, let's say you have 5 pedals, you're powering, and all of a sudden you have to buy another 5 pedals. You're actually gonna save a couple bucks in the link and be able to go right through, and you could just keep powering and daisy chaining and going. I went with the Metro 16 because this pedal is a little bigger. I wanted to have a little more space for it. ODR and Blues Driver again, just, you know, protein, the Protein, if you will. It's tried and true 2 sounds. Again, this might not be the actual like Blues Breaker sound they're going for, but it's Blues Driver is close. It sounds great. It's all over everything. I also wanted to add in modulation this time. I love chorus. I love Dimension C chorus. I love your traditional choruses, stereo choruses. But we're not going stereo right now. We're just not there yet. So I figured if you're going right into an amp, you might not want to go stereo. JHS 3 series, you have a vibrato and you have a chorus option, which is great. And at $99, the 3 series stuff is incredible. So nice, in fact, that I chose their compressor. If you watch the Nick Builds a Pedal Board live video that they did a few years ago, the Bright Switch with a Strat, he using a Silver Sky, sounded amazing. It's a great compressor right out the box. And then finally I did the Boss TU3S, just less real estate. You could do the TU3 if you wanted, they're the same exact price. Okay, so I know the ODR is underneath my stupid face. I forgot to move it around, but it's there. And I'll probably mix up saying left to right again right there, but figured you should know. Okay. All right, so this is the board, how I laid it out. I like to look everything left to or right. I like to look at everything right to left. So I did tuner into the compressor. And then some people, this is always up for debate. I did this just because of the sizing. Some people prefer to have their light going into their heavier or their heavier overdrive into their lighter overdrive. That's a preference thing. I personally always do, if it's going left to right, I like to build. So I'll put the lighter overdrive before the next overdrive. That's just a preference thing that I enjoy. But I did it this way. The cables are long enough to where if you wanted to go to the Blues Driver in and out around like that, totally fine. Into the chorus and then into the delay and out, you know, into the delay and reverb. So pretty straightforward. There's a little gap right here. Throw an Altoids pan in, you know, a little Altoids tin, put your picks in there, good to go. I figured there was a couple things I needed to consider this time. Like obviously you want a guitar, we need a cable to go into the board, and we need to be able to get out of the board to a DI box at the church. Prices are expensive. It's just not a secret. So you're going to see a couple adjustments here. It's going to be lacking probably what I really want it to be. In another video, I'm going to do like a dream board, if you will, like what I would do right now with like my personal preference board would be to make me stoked to play. If budget wasn't a concern. I managed to get everything, DI with a guitar, cables, power supply, all for $972.28. First thing I did was the Squier Sonic Telecaster. I've actually never heard of this guitar before, the Sonic series. I think it's newer, but it's $199 and it's not a mini scale. It looked like it was full scale. It said it was a 25.5 or a 24, whatever the fender scale length, it's the full scale length. So I figured that's a great entry point. Telecasters are amazing guitars. Everyone loves them. No problem there. Next, I went Tone X1. So I did this on purpose because, again, the Tone X1 has all of these options of modulation, delay, and reverb. And you could set this up in an A/B setting. So on that Tone X, you can set it up when you open it to, you know, the first switch is this, the second switch is this. You actually could probably just do these two things and be great to start. But I wanted to still have some onboard effects. So this could help with that, like maybe the Tone X without the caverns has your standard reverb or whatever. You know what I mean? You could always set that up differently. So I did the cavern again because of the price point at $200 to have that. I've had good things about it. A little bit of flexibility between the two. And I'm going to change the routing up on this one a little bit because I think it might help benefit some of that a little bit. Patch cables. You don't even need all these patch cables, honestly. But I got them just because having an extra couple never hurt anybody. Headstock tuner again, just to save a couple bucks, $24. I have the same Fender headstock tuner upstairs in my house, just when I'm playing guitars, and I throw it in my acoustic bag. I throw it in any bag just in case I need it, you know, for my guitars. I went JHS 3 Series Overdrive. So I wanted to change it up a little bit, try something different. I love JHS. Like I said, Morning Glory is my favorite pedal of pretty much all time. I don't know if this is very similar or not, but I thought it might be fun to have something a little different. At $99 again, you could get a lot of JHS pedals and have a JHS board probably and actually do pretty well. ODR2, just to add some flavor again, going protein on that one idea. This is where I've never actually tried these before. Ernie Ball cable. I did this on stage one because it's just a couple bucks cheaper than the pedal train, like $15 cheaper. So I thought at this point, all the couple bucks we can get, we'll get. I got this Gator Power 5 pedal supply because the most power I needed 100, and the Tone X1 is 120 milliamps to run it. And if you look at this, most of it is 120. It saves a ton of money, a ton of space. I guess at this point, I could have probably swapped it out for the 5, I think. No, I would have been just over. So to get everything there, that was what I thought would be the right answer to get there. And it's an IEC cable right into it. So that's nice for mounting purposes. And then just to show you this one, I did change the order. The board's kind of big. I couldn't find a smaller board, but it does give flexibility for down the road. If you notice, I put the Tone X after the caverns. So again, some people like to have their reverb after, their delay and reverb after. I found when I play metal, I like to have that after the distortion of the amp because reverb into a highly distorted amp gets kind of shoegazy and it's not quite what I enjoy taste-wise for worship, right? And so this is a little bit more outside of the worship idea. But because Tone X has modulation, delay, and reverb, you can have a couple different options of what type of, you want tape or delay, do you want ping pong, because you can go stereo out of it if it was the other way around. But you have all these different options. I think that would be nice to have. A little compression. I don't see a problem with this in any way, shape, or form. So gives you a little more flexibility. Yeah, so I think those give you a little flexibility and hopefully a good starting point. I'm going to put some links down below in the description of the wish list, or at least the pedals that I picked out today. I'm also going to put a wish list, a couple links to like Tone Junkie, for example, to my favorite patches from them, from Worship Tutorials, my favorite captures, and then from Jake Fowler, my favorite captures. Just direct links right to those captures. Though there, if you didn't want to use, you know, with the Tone X1, if you had to buy captures, which you would because it's not an anniversary, the entry point, yes, is it expensive right now to buy pedals and guitars? Yeah, that's just reality of how it is. Stuff gets expensive. But at the same time, the entry point has never been more accessible to have great tone out the gate. And so I think that's a really important part that we should consider when buying things. You know, again, don't forget to use Marketplace, local, reverb, secondhand, all that. You could find amazing pedals, probably for the same prices, that are a little, I don't want to say nicer, but a little more like sturdy or different than maybe the entry-level stuff. All this entry-level stuff, and I say entry-level meaning price point. I don't say entry-level meaning it's a low-quality build. When I say entry-level through this whole video, I mean price-wise, right? So that's a handful of things. I hope this was helpful today. If it is, let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Let me know if you want to see a different pedal board builds. If you want to see us try and buy some of these pedals and try them out. If you want to see us do some different things, that'd be fun. Maybe if this gets enough attention, Sweetwater will invite us down to, or maybe be cool with helping us out to try and do some demos for you guys or someone down the road or whatever. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, bell, all the YouTube things. Until then, I have been John. See you guys in the next one. Later.
Worship Gear Cult.